So, dear interested people, I'm happy that I can try to tell you some words about the movement, the alternative movement. I founded in 1991. It's in German it's called Schenker-Bewegung, and in English you can say it's givers movement or gift movement, perhaps donators movement. Well, and I can sum up in one sentence what's the meaning of it. This is my little son, Aljoscha, by the way. To sum it up in one sentence, one can say givers movement is the movement of people who try only to have an exchange of gifts with other people without luxury, state, identity card and so on, and money, revenge thinking. You know, a gift is something you give freely and without thinking at revenge mechanisms. Well, so Schenker's movement or givers movement is the movement of people who only try to have an exchange of gifts in unconditional, global, or you can say holistic love. And the people try to offer this non-violent sharing, this making gifts. What is, in other words, non-violent sharing? We offer this as a way to a culture of, you can say, global consensus sharing. It is, we are trying to build up consensus communities of global or holistic sharing. Yeah, and we can say this also in other words which are very easy to understand. We try to find a way to the new world of free earth for free sharing people, and where we all humans, can live as a humanity family, as brothers and sisters, in a loving, in a natural, in a healthy way, in an essential way, we can say. Yeah, so, once again, in short, givers movement is the movement of people who only want to exchange gifts with others in unconditional, global or holistic love, and who offer this way of non-violent sharing as a way to communities which are living in a consensus of global sharing. And we offer those consensus communities of global sharing as a way into a new system, including the aspect of politics. We think that the new system will be a global consensus democracy. And I prefer, instead of saying democracy, to say demogracy, because in the word democracy, that crazy has the meaning of domination among human beings with violence. And in the word demogracy, the word gracie is coming from the Latin word gratia, and this Latin word has the meaning of all the things or meanings which are circling around love. What leads to love? What is the meaning of love in itself? What are the effects of love? This is the circle of meanings around this word. And Yoshi hears a cat. He is making the sound of cats. Meow, meow. Well, so you have a short description. What is the meaning of Schenker-Bewegung, givers or gift movement? it's important for me to say it in the beginning in a very easy way, because it's a movement that shall integrate all people, all intelligent and simple people, into that humanity family, that loving family, which finds the way to a life in responsibility for the earth which we have got as a gift. And I think the first sentence can already be understood, that meaning that we try only to have an exchange of gifts in order to build up global consensus democracy. And the second explanation, to say that we try to build up free earth for free sharing people, is perhaps even more easy to understand. This short and easy program is also connected with the attempt of Givers or Gift movement, that it shall be an un-ideological movement. A movement which is as much as possible consensus open. That means which is as much as possible open to find consensus with all the other people. So we try not to have special ideology which makes it difficult for people to say yes to our central ideas. But we try to find so easy central ideas that it can really be a basis for all the human brothers and sisters to come together and to build this responsible family with one another. Yeah, I can explain this with some examples. In our movement there can be people who have different religions or different ideologies. There can be Christians and Jews and Muslims and Hindus, and there can be atheists. If the atheists say that only by their reason and their moral conscience they are able to see that we have to join for global responsibility, and that we have to try what we can to build up such consensus communities of global sharing. I think it does not need religion. It is possible to understand this central idea simply by reason and moral conscience. And we do not want to exclude any human being from our movement of unity and love and responsibility, if we can prevent it. Also, in our movement there can be people with very different ideas about the details of human culture. For example, concerning the question what they want to eat, how they make their clothes, but also how they make their love affairs and relationships. There can be people who live without sexuality, such as Buddhist monks. There can be people who have monogam marriages, like the Catholics. There can be Muslims with their harem, and there can be atheists who change their many sexual partners every week. All this is possible if the people see it must be in harmony with the very few central ideas we have, that we have to learn to live as that humanity family, that by non-violent sharing we have to find the unity with one another, that we can really practice the global responsibility. Yeah. For me personally, I can say that in the past I lived in detail also some different forms of life concerning relationship, sexual relationship and family, for example. I lived sometimes as the Buddhist monk without practicing sexuality. I lived for some time sexuality in the open or free sense, to have different or let's say several girlfriends, several sexual female partners. I live now since 2010. Since 2010, I'm living in a monogam relationship with my wife Anke, my dream woman, my woman for my life, and we have our son Aljoscha, as you see. And we try to show that it is important to become holistic. We have founded together an alternative project which is called Lilitopia, and which shall be a holistic future laboratory. We want to show that the personal is the political, and that the love affairs, the love relationships and the families must become roots, must become seeds for this development of consensus communities of global sharing, for the global consensus democracy. Yeah, this we are trying now for some years together in our form of relationship and family and in our Lilitopia project. In Schenker's movement there are different projects and organizations because we are very open, as I said, very few ideals, very little, very small program. And so there is a place for a lot of people who think they are a part of Givers or Gift movement. We say that it begins by sharing our idealistic dream. Everybody who says, well, only exchanging gifts in order to find the way to consensus communities of global sharing, fine idea, that free earth for free sharing people. And everybody who shares this idea already can call himself, or can understand himself if he wants, as a so-called giver's ally. The allies can have practical consequences of their theory, their idealistic theory, or not. It's open to them. They can find the personal measure, degree of consequence. To be an ally, it's sufficient to say, I share that idealistic dream. And then we have different degrees how people can come and cooperate and can take part in projects or organizations. At the moment we have 3 associations, non-profit organizations, which are accepted even by the state authorities as working for the common welfare. At least 2 of the associations are officially accepted. The 3rd one is doing the same work, but there have been some problems with the state authorities, so that at the time when this happened, this association said they would try for, at least for some time, to be more independent. Well, okay, so there are 3 associations, and I always say to take part in Givers Movement, in the sense of taking part in such an association, cannot be too hard for anybody, because that means to take part in a meeting, one meeting perhaps in the year, and you can take part even by telephone, so this perhaps would not be too difficult for somebody who wants to do something for such ideals or for our movement. And then we have different projects, alternative life projects, alternative community projects. And there are allied projects where the people can live in a quite normal way with their identity cards and money and so on. And they make, for example, some publicity work for our ideals or for Givers Movement. And other projects are a combination of giver allies and givers in the project. And there it's possible to choose what degree of practical consequence then you want to practice. It is possible there that in the Allied project there is living someone with his papers and money who wants to make a money career, and some meters at the side there can be the radical giver who is living in an earth hole and is living only from nature or from leftovers, wasted things. You know, it's possible to container at the supermarkets, or from exchange of gifts. You see, I say these are the 3 ways how the giver can live his independent life. From the leftovers, from nature, or from exchanging gifts. I think that every one of those 3 ways is possible to give a basis, so that you do not need to have bosses or dominators. It's not necessary to take things from the state or to use money. You can live from nature and it gives you enough to live. You can live from the leftovers in our society where there are a lot of superfluous things, luxury. And you can make this exchange of gifts and it is sufficient to have all you need. Well, those are the 3 ways, and I said in the projects where there are allies and givers it is possible to choose which degree of practical consequence you want. This is also a possibility for relationships. If one partner wants to take more consequences than the other, it is possible that, let's say, on the one side, Josh, no. On the one side there is perhaps the Allied project, where, let's say, the woman is living in the way that she wants to make the money career, and some meters on the other side there can be the man who is living in the earth hole and is trying to make the radical monkey man. All this is possible. People could be there and they do not have to separate, to divorce. They can come and they can live in a very different way, some meters, the one on the one side and the other on the other side. And also, for me it's important to say, nowadays we even can make it possible in the Givers project that if you have old parents and they need care, it is no longer necessary to say, oh, now I must choose whether I am living a radical alternative life or I'm taking care of my old parents. It was an important thing for me to make it possible that we have projects where at the same time people can live the alternative life and can choose as much as possible the degree of practical consequence, where at the same time the conditions of life are so that you could have some meters besides them, their old parents which have to be taken care of, and in a way that it can be acceptable for those parents, where you have living conditions as in a normal flat, where you have water and electricity and heating possibility. So I always had the idea to make Givers movement very, very integrative, that it offers as much as possible of integration possibility. So I think I can say that everybody who really wants to make something of those ideas, everybody who wants to take part in such a form of life, can come to us and can find his place. Nobody must say it's not possible for me to make my steps, and clear steps, into this direction. So once again I want to invite you to our Givers or Gift movement, the movement of people who want to be as un-ideological as possible, as much as possible open for consensus with the other human brothers and sisters. The movement where people try to only have an exchange of gifts with others in unconditional, global or holistic love, as a way, this non-violent sharing as a way to a culture of global consensus sharing. It is building consensus communities of global sharing, and by this way building up the new system, the system of global consensus democracy or global consensus democracy. Well, in this sense, I'm happy that I could try to explain you our movement in some words. I invite you to come in contact with us. There is also the possibility to have an exchange of thoughts only in the internet, taking part in a board. You find your way to such contact, for example, by the internet address global-love.eu or holistic-love.net. And my email address is Schenker, S-C-H-E-N-K-E-R, underline, I think it's underline, you make that at the bottom of the letters, Öff, O-E-F-F, at yahoo.de. Well, I hope that email address can be understood. If not, take the internet addresses, the website. This will give you the possibility to find your way. Okay, I wish you a nice day.